All right. It says we are live. So, hello, everybody. Hope everybody had a great Father's Day. And even even the mothers just having to be fathers. I, I mean, nowadays you don't know whether it's just one or the other. So, if you're having to take both roles, then happy Father's Day to all everybody. So, I mean, but so how has your week been, Mr. Ed?
Busy. I had a lot of stuff to get done at work before I go on vacation this coming week. Had to get
Cool.
a lot of stuff to get caught up on from the week before when I was on vacation.
Well, are you planning on doing anything besides staying at the house this time around?
Yep, just gonna work around the house some more. I got a lot more stuff to get done. I got to work on my golf cart. I want to get it running so I can take it around, and I got some trees and stuff to trim, and some. I got a couple of trees going up in my front flower beds up. I got a big flowering bush thing in the corner of my house. And the last couple of years, I had some kind of a walnut tree growing up through it. So I need to get those cut out and hauled to the back and put on the burn pile. And if the weather is nice, I may actually burn my burn pile that I haven't burnt in about 5 years. So
Well, that's. I mean, I got two uh walnut trees growing around here. I mean, the doggone squirrels. They get a walnuts for the wintertime.
mm-hmm.
They go around and they bury them. So of course I'm gonna have walnut trees starting everywhere. And with that going on, I mean, down in South Carolina, we didn't have that problem because the squirrels always made their hiding spot in their nest. But down here, they either put it in their nest or in the walls of my shop. So that was insulation down in South Carolina. But uh, up up here where it actually gets cold in the wintertime, they bury them. So I don't
Well,
know how in the heck they even find them, but
I've got a squirrel living in my little storage shed that's out behind my garage where I keep my riding mower and stuff like that. And there's a place where they can get in there. I've got one living in there. Well, the last time I cleaned it out, took everything out and cleaned it out, I got a whole 5 gallon bucket full of walnut shells from them eating them, because they had stashed them in different places.
yeah, that was one thing I had happened to me in South Carolina. That's why I was having to tearing my shop down there because they went through it and they would eat the wires and everything else where I had it wired, all the lights wired up and all in it. They eat
Mm-hmm.
the covering off the wires and everything. They're worse than rats when it comes to that kind of stuff. But
Yeah, I don't have power down there, so I'm not worried about that. But I am gonna. Uh, every time I open the doors up, you can hear them. There's just one. You can hear it scurry across and then go out its hole. Well, I know where its hole's at. So what I'm planning on doing is one day go in there and scurry him out, and then
yeah,
cap that hole off so he can't get in there no more. There's other holes he'll get in, but you know,
yeah. Well, I mean, my little shop down there was just basically a little one stall, you know, piece of slab of cement and uh, and I didn't even I didn't even fix in covering the eaves on it because I mean it was just mainly to cut the wind off if I was out there working in the wintertime or whatever. So
yeah.
I mean,
Well, this thing's 12 by 14 or 12 by 16. One of the ones that have the roofs that come down and then drop down. Uh, Probably 5, 6 years ago, something like that.
yeah.
I had a tree limb come down and it actually broke
Oh well,
couple of the rafters, and I went in and jacked them back up. You know, put a couple pieces of 2x4 on each side of it and everything, and then put steel
Mm-hmm.
roofing on the top part. Well, there's a hole about that big under right where the roof makes its change from the top to the side. There's a
Yeah.
hole about that big. Well, the overhang of the steel that I put on covers that hole, so I never worried about patching that hole up. Well, that's where that little bastard's getting in and out. Hi,
Yeah.
Rail.
I mean, like I said, uh, one one winter up here, Delisa had a Ford Taurus. It was the what the heck was anyway? It was she had a Ford Taurus, and we left it up here. We drove my truck back to South Carolina, and well, an old truck that I had at the time, and I drove it back. We drove it back to South Carolina, and we left the Explorer sitting. I mean, that car sitting here, and we got back home, and I got in that car and we crank it up, and I was see the battery, and I was still charged up over the winter, and I hooked the battery charger up to it, and just sat there, and I I let it sit there for probably half a day. I didn't even actually look under the hood, but the doggone rats had got in there and made their nest out of the wiring underneath the hood of the car,
Yep.
and they had eaten so much of the wiring harness up. I because her old car was a '95, and you couldn't find the wiring harness. It was one of them show Taurus is what it was,
Mm-hmm.
and you couldn't find the wiring harness. So, and besides that, the way that car was built, you that basically had to drop the motor down out from under it in order to put the wiring harness on them, because you didn't have no room at all to figure out how the wires run and all that stuff. So, I mean, it was a mess, and we finally just ended up selling it. I mean, but she loved that car. I wish I could find another one, but I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. I had a buddy that put a pickup truck right out of high school. He put a pickup truck in storage in a garage, and the squirrels got into it. And every nook, cranny, fender well, everything you could think of was all full of nuts and stuff. They chewed the spark plug wires off of it, a bunch of the wiring up in it, but the worst thing was all the nuts up under the hood and stuff.
yeah,
Um, they didn't get into the cab, but they did get every place else. They were up on the frame rail, up on top of the fuel tank. I mean, just any place you can think of, they stashed nuts. They were nuts stashed. Hey, backwoods boy, how you doing,
yeah,
buddy? Thank you for
backwoods.
stopping.
Unreal. I mean, I don't know whether you heard me or not, but I did say hello. But yeah, I had in '98. I had a one of those small Chevrolet Blazers, and I I didn't have time to change the oil, because I mean that was back when I was still driving a truck. So I get home one night a week. So I wasn't gonna spend that one day I had off each week changing oil in vehicles and all. So I took it down to the local little quick change oil change place down there, and the guy come out there and he said, "You sir, you better come out here and look at this." And I said, "Okay." I walked out there, and they had filled they had actually filled the whole uh airbox slam full of nuts and all that stuff. Because I mean, I had a lot more squirrels down, uh, and that was back when I was living in South Carolina. So, but they had filled the whole doggone airbox slam full of nuts, and I just, I said, well, I guess whatever it costs to. I mean, they didn't. Their air filter was clean. They didn't have to have an air filter, but they had, that's where they piled all their nuts. I'm glad it had a something to block it off there to where the squirrels couldn't get on up in the engine. But or it would have literally been one squirrel powered blazer, I guess. But
Well, he had the it was carbureted, but they got up into the air cleaner and filled
uh-huh.
all. Luckily, had a one of the air cleaners had the metal around the air filter, but
Yeah,
they'd filled all that full of nuts and everything else.
yeah, that's but squirrels and all that are a lot more destructive than people realize.
Oh yes, very much so.
I mean, and they love like I said they love the coating on wires. I mean, man, I for the most part I left the I'd always turn the when I walked out of the shop I'd always turn the power off to the whole shop, but it was but and so that left them easy pickings whenever they started stripping the electrical wires out of the shop. And so that left them easy pickings whenever they started stripping electrical wires out of the shop. And it's just um, it was they would do some crazy stuff. But my little dog that we had, that one that died, she loved it down there because I mean that she could sit there and chase squirrels all day long. I don't think she's ever caught one, but she would try she would play with them all day long. And I mean, I ain't gonna say nothing about the cat that she actually did for catch, but but hey, Miss Carol, thank you for coming over. I
I
think,
I my chocolate lab I had it. I don't think she even cared if there was a squirrel in the yard. She never would chase one. Nothing.
well, she got Alice. She got out there and yeah uh uh she got one actually treed up on the light pole. The light pole in the back of the house here,
Hmm.
and she would sit there and she'd back off about 20 feet. That squirrel would run around the other side, and she said, and she'd charge at the pole. Well, that squirrel actually couldn't go nowhere except down the light line. So she chased him, slammed to the other light pole where that squirrel finally could get to a limb to jump off of it. But she had him treed there for a while. I mean, but it was always so funny just sitting there watching her.
Yeah, I've got squirrels that live across in the trees across the street from my shop, and I love watching them things. They'll go up the one maple tree, cross the limb, onto the power line, down the power line, and then back into a tree that's 10 foot beside the one that's right there. Goes back in and back down that tree instead of just going across the yard.
Yeah.
Hey, Mudmower.
Hey, Moore, how are you doing tonight, sir? Yeah, it was funny the way she could. I mean, back when I was a kid, granddaddy and them always give me, they give me a 22 rifle. I'd get out there in the yard, and I was either trying to shoot squirrels or blue jays because he had a bunch of pecan trees around there that like I said, he sold them and all. He had a little country store, so he'd sell pecans and all this stuff. I mean, I think he had probably 15 to 20 trees out there, and they would all, So I would, I was the oldest grandkid, so I got all the dirty jobs. So I was out there. I was shooting Skylar. I mean, I got pretty good with that 22 by shooting squirrels and blue jays. I mean, you know how hard it. Yeah, pecans, they're all.
Pecans duck.
Yeah, but I mean, we got uh, but one day I was out there and we there's a nuclear power plant, so near about 3 miles across the lake from where I was at, and so they you know from the Air Force Base and Shaw Air Force Base it was probably 40 miles away, so they would have uh hey Brandon they had a we were riding the flight path from Shaw Air Force Base up to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So, and they would actually scramble the jets, in case as part of their thing of making sure that if something happened at a nuclear power plant, they could have planes in the air, around it to make sure it couldn't get to it from the sky. So they were flying around up there above up there one day, and it was fall in the fall. All the trees, most all the leaves that fell off. I was up there trying to shake the pecan trees, and these doggone two pilots, they seen me, so of course they come flying down, they come right across the top of that pecan tree and did kind of a twist over, right over the top of me, and it like to have shook my butt out of that tree, but
They shake
but
it out. They shake them.
they helped me shake the pecan trees. I mean, but now I guess nowadays they would probably get in trouble if they got caught doing something like that nowadays. But
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Oh, you need to put an air conditioner out there in that shop, Brandon.
yeah, but he wasn't he was the one that was talking about that didn't have no electricity, didn't he? So how you gonna work in the dark there, Brandon? You finally get power back on?
I think he's got power, but there's like 70 some thousand around him that doesn't.
Oh, okay. I mistook what he was saying a while ago. But yeah, well,
Or one
I'm
of those
just
little
actually,
headlamps.
yeah, I'm just actually, I'm just sitting around here waiting for summer to actually get here. I mean, I'm used to 80, 90 degree days. I ain't used to them 100-degree days anymore. Um, but nowadays this year just barely hitting 80 every now and then is is kind of keeping me sitting in the house, just not wanting to go out there and do nothing. But I mean, I know I got to get my shop cleaned out. Um, I might even make me a sign put out there in front of the shop that says Harbor Freight, because I mean, for a couple days anyway. Uh, Open now, flea market, Harbor Freight. Because I got the I mean, I think I got two or three of everything. I got two table saws out there. I got two. I actually got three of the reciprocal saws out there. Hey, Chase and Tail, how are you doing tonight, sir? But I mean, I got my pressure washer. I got to put a put a pump on it because it's cracked and stuff. So if I can I just ain't never got the numbers off of it to put a pump on it.
I would.
And
Well, somebody offered me one of those pressure washers has a pump underneath the vertical shaft motor.
yeah,
The pump was like $170. The pressure washer is only $299.
Yeah,
I'm like, it ain't worth putting a pump on an old. I mean, this is an old pressure washer.
yeah. Well, that's where my problem comes. I probably I probably used that pressure washer two, maybe three times. So this is basically a brand new one sitting down there. You know, if I could find the, if I had to found the uh right mower, I mean, because it's got the downshaft thing and all on it. Hey, easy Lee, how are you doing? Yeah, and I might would put that 7.5 horsepower motor on it. So um,
I'm gonna recruit the neighborhood donkey. No, my
yeah,
I when I was in the kitchen there getting my coffee and stuff, I had just mowed my grass this afternoon. The kid next door mowed their grass yesterday. He's
uh,
out, he's out there cutting the front yard again right now.
oh no, he's so you got one of them neighbors like we do that's got to cut the grass every 2 days. I
On
mean,
no, he'll go a week as long as I don't cut mine first.
yeah,
Yep.
but it was I cut I usually if it's wet outside, if it's raining good and all that stuff. I mean, 3 days the backyard gets so thick. I have to cut it. But my neighbor over here, they out there cutting and weed eating every day, and she's spraying our daggum fence line, spraying that daggum poison all on the fence and all that stuff. So even though we brought the fence in 8 inches to make sure that she couldn't be messing with the fence, and so she just does it because she can. But
Hey, if my neighbors want to come over and spray around my fence and over all my weeds and stuff like that, more power to them. Less weed eating I got to do. That's one thing I got to do this week while I'm off is get the weed eater out and do a bunch of trimming and stuff. But I was gonna do it at the end of last week, but my shoulder was killing me so bad after work that I just couldn't. I couldn't. Uh, just couldn't do it.
yeah, well, but but Chasing Tails got so many. So he's got the big spot sitting up there on top of the mountain out there, and all that that dead dry wood down there, and plus he's got a sawmill and everything else. So he's the one got the real setup now.
Yeah,
I mean, even
yeah.
even the little creek at the bottom of the hill. So
Well, I've got one of those. I think it's made by Snapper. The walk behind. Uh, they call them walk behind mowers, string mowers.
yeah,
Um, and the thing works great, but the head's so old and so chewed up, it won't hold the strings anymore. You can't lock them in anymore. And I look to replace that thing, and it's over $100 for that. And I can, I'm like, man, I can figure out a way to get them strings to stay attached, you know. And they don't make that head aftermarket any place that I can find. So,
I,
but I love that thing.
yeah. I had. I mean, this pressure washer. I mean, it's probably 8 years old now, but it's basically brand new.
Hmm.
I mean, because it never did run. I mean, I think I washed over the house in South Carolina one time with it, and then I washed the wood porch on it. But then when I got brought it up here, I guess there must have been some water in it that froze in the wintertime and it cracked the pump. So, but I think that I actually looked on Amazon, and eBay. I know that ain't the best place in the world to buy a replacement pump, but you know, I mean, it was about 60 to 70 $80. So I may waste that to try to get it running because I mean, like I said, I got that brand new Briggs and Stratton 7.5 or something other down there, and I really have no use for it other than other than the pressure washer. So
Right. Yeah, I looked at gas ones. I've been looking at electric ones. So,
there's the
hey, there's Jeff.
there's the start of the show.
Oh, me?
Yeah,
I didn't hear no drum roll.
well, that's the best I can give you.
I guess that's close enough, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, Brandon said Colorado's on his bucket list. I've been watching some videos of the hot rod power tour. I think that needs to be on my bucket list. I'd like to run that the power tour.
Yeah. Well,
It looks like it'd be a lot of fun. I just need to get a vehicle that I can depend enough to, drive a couple thousand miles.
You
yeah.
got that problem too, huh?
Well, there's a lot of people that don't. I mean, they got like old vehicles that they just bought and they put them on the power tour and just run them. But the problem is I want to make sure that I can get to the start of the power tour. This year it was down south, which would be a day and a half or so drive for me. I just want to make sure that my vehicle will get there. I don't mind if it break down during the power tour. I just want to be able to start it. I want to be able to do the whole thing, but
Well, that's that's just the way it, I mean, nowadays, right now, the year since that 19, let's say it that way, that you can't even the daggum used car prices has gone so daggum high you can't touch them anymore hardly. They're going ridiculous price. I mean that that truck that uh GMC Sierra that I got out there that 2015. Well, I just I was kind of just joking around one day at my credit union, and I asked her. I said, what I had got it down, paid down to about 15,000 I owed on it, and I was surprised. And I asked her, I was just joking around. I said, thought I was just joking around, but I said, how about I said, is there any way I can borrow about $25,000 on that truck? I need to pay it off, and I don't really like the credit union that it's financed through anyway. So get all my business deck down here back down to this credit union. So she said, and next thing I know, uh, she had pulled it up. She said, sure. I mean, how you said how much is the payoff on that truck? So on the truck, so I told her, and the next thing I know, I had paid off all. Ended up I borrowed enough. I paid off all my credit cards and all that stuff, and now you know what is the hard part about it is the hard part is I was is trying to keep the buy stuff, buy stuff on credit cards that you can remember that you can pay off at the end of the month, and just to keep that the credit cards active. I said, I mean, that's because I had finally got down to just that truck payment, and so now I mean I don't want to run everything back up again. But
yeah, it's just like me. I don't have any credit cards. Period. And the only thing I have on credit is my lift, my shop lift for the tractors,
Yeah.
and I'll have it paid off in January. Um, but as soon as I can find a reasonable contractor to do my roof, I will be having another payment. Um, but these guys that are wanting $18,000 to put a steel roof on my house are, I mean, I know the price of materials went up,
Yeah.
but
But it
but it didn't double in price.
no,
You know,
no.
4 years ago, I had an estimate, two different contractors. Both of them were right around $65,000 to $7,000 to steel roof my house.
Mm-hmm.
The lowest one I got so far was 13.5, and he wasn't going to redo any of the fascia or the gutters. The other two guys were 15 something and 17 something, and that was with putting new fascia on, rehanging the gutters, and everything. So
Yeah. Well, that's
take care, Brandon.
later, Brandon.
But
But
yeah, I mean, if I could get somebody to come in around 10 grand, I'd do it in a heartbeat. But you know,
I mean, everything's went up, but it didn't. But they act like everything's doubled. I
yeah,
mean, I mean, my the last time I got I took they had a special going at the Chevrolet dealership nearby. So that mean they could they the offer was was cheap enough that when they changed the oil in that truck out there, they and rotated the tires on it and all that, I couldn't go buy the doggone oil
hmm,
cheap enough to do it. So I
right,
took it over there and let them change the oil in it.
right,
I mean, and and so, but now the daggum oil, just the oil itself. I mean, it is doubled in price because it takes a because this year 2015 takes a certain brand, certain weight, certain actual brand oil that a lot of companies don't even make that weight.
right,
So
right.
and so I basically, you got that. So you got to either buy that there. What the heck is it? Uh, I can't think of the oil, but you either got to buy it. So you might, you know, by the time you go to buy it, they'll change it cheaper by taking it over there where they can buy it in bulk.
Yep,
So
yep,
I mean, and that it's got the 5.3 in it, but it takes eight quarts of oil for that truck out there.
yeah, it's still cheaper for me with my discount to buy the oil at the parts store because I got the lift and everything.
Yeah,
Um, it's still cheaper for me to take my truck to work and throw it up on the lift for 15 minutes and
yeah.
do an oil change and everything on it there. Um,
Well,
I need to get it up there and get it up on the lift and fix my AC on that 5.3. The AC belt is separate from the rest of the belts,
mm-hmm,
but it's behind the main serpentine belt. So I mean, I could
yeah,
do it here in the driveway, but it's a pain in the ass to you know because
yeah,
I got to change the idler too. I mean, if I took the fan shroud and everything off, I could get down in there to change it, but it's easier just to do it from underneath. And I'm too old to be laying down on my back, rolling around on the ground trying to change that stupid thing. It's the same reason I don't do the roof myself. I mean, I just I, I don't bounce like I used to. I'm not a ticker no
yeah.
more.
Why not?
I
Oh,
get I get my fat butt trying to crawl up underneath a vehicle or something over like that, and I can't get out from under it like I used to could either. So I mean, and with this diabetes, neuropathy, and my knees and stuff like that, I get down on my knees. I cannot. I can't. I have to sit on my butt because I can't get my knees to cooperate with me. So I sit down. Last time I actually had to crawl out from under the car and crawl over to one of the tables in the shop to get my to get up because I mean because I could my knees wouldn't work, wouldn't turn over, wouldn't flip over where I could get up. So I mean
Yeah,
I'm not great at it anymore. So
yeah, Jamie. I run 1530 synthetic blend in my 2005
yeah,
with
well I mean
with a Wix filter.
That's the only
uh,
way to go.
but I mean this particular truck calls for that specific kind of weight of oil, and it's like that. What it not Shell, but it's the one with the one on it. What is that? Mobile One.
Mobile One, yeah.
Mobile One. The only one that actually makes that weight of oil that vehicle runs on. So
Yeah.
and so you go down at the doggone parts store, they liable to have to order it in so you can get the oil and all that stuff. But
Well, back 20 years ago when we started using the full synthetic Schaefer's oil, Schaefer's,
yeah,
Schaefer's, uh, I used to laugh this.
Is that a paid advertisement?
Nope, not a paid advertisement. Just a very satisfied customer. Um, but I used to laugh at the guys that come in. They got the older late 70s, early 80s trucks and stuff, and it was always if you need a quarter oil, take quarter oil. Well, I kept telling them, hey, that's full synthetic. Do you run synthetic in your vehicle? Yep. They're mixing that synthetic with that conventional oil. You're gonna need something. So, but
well,
whatever.
I mean, I have gotten to where we don't ever go anywhere anymore. So
Yeah.
I mean, I got the oil changed in that truck out there, and I was looking at it this evening, and I had uh, it's been over a year since I had that doggone oil last changed in it, and it's still and the that oil sensor oil light oil thing on change oil thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
still at 45%. I said, "Dang, yeah." I mean, if I can get a year, 2 years out of a doggone oil change
Yeah, but
because I ain't driving much, then
even though you're not driving it that much, you
yeah,
still should
I,
change the oil in it because it does condensate inside the motor.
yeah, I know. It's just, but like I said, I hadn't realized it had been a year ago that didn't have that I hadn't had the oil changed in it. So I mean, but it's almost $100 now. I seen where they advertising downtown here at a dealership is 80 something, 80 almost $90. By the time you do taxes and all that, it'll be $100. But and then the Chevrolet place that I deal with, they had it. They sent me a coupon the other day, and it was $89. To get the deal that where at least they rotate the tires and all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. I mean, but I like I said, I got to uh, get over there and get the oil changed in it because, like I said, I didn't even realize it had been over a year since I got the oil changed in it. But
Yeah, a guy I used to work with, he leases trucks, and he always buys the extended oil change plans
yeah,
because he used to put a lot of miles on his truck. He bought enough when he was still when I was still working with him. He's retired now. When I was working with him, the first truck he bought or leased, he bought enough oil changes that it carried over into his second lease vehicle. So he bought just as many the next time. And I just talked to him, a couple months ago, and he's still buying them oil change plans, which is a whole lot cheaper than just going in and having it done.
yeah,
And the the service manager told him, he said, "We're actually thinking about discontinuing this." He's like, why? He said, because of people like you that buy, they'll buy 10 or 12 oil changes. I think you get 6 with your lease or something like that. Well,
Mm-hmm.
he'll buy 6 extra ones, and they're good for no matter as long as he's leasing vehicles with them. And he said that the service manager said there's people that are losing money on, they're losing money on with these oil changes, and he said either that or they're going to expire. You have to use them so much, so often, in a certain period of time. He's like, well, he goes, the paperwork that I have says that they are unlimited. There's no run out time. He said, as long as I still have them, you're going to honor that until
Yep.
this bunch run out. You know.
Yep. I mean,
So
that's kind of getting. I mean, and most of these doggone most of these shops that do this oil change, the Chevrolet dealerships, well, the dealerships.
yeah,
Once when
You
they
said it right.
when they get them up on the lift, that's when they want to see all your brakes and all your everything else on them. So
let's see.
of course they're gonna try to find something on this truck.
Well,
So, but
he gets the extended warranties on them too.
yeah,
So he's like, find whatever you want because you'll be fixing it because I got the extended warranty. You know,
yeah,
the only thing he pays for is tires.
and well, wearable things are are they're not covered by that warranty either. I mean, mine's supposed to have a lifetime guarantee on warranty on parts on certain things on it from the dealership that I bought it from. But when you go to looking at it, your brakes ain't there. Your brakes are not part of it. Your alternator's not part of it. The stuff that commonly wear out anyway ain't ain't that. But I mean, like I said, that truck out there it's got the 5.3, but it's also got that engine cutout, the cylinder cutout on it. So
Well, see,
Well, I
all that
suppose
stuff's covered on
folks is
his.
going to bed now.
All that
Can't
stuff's
keep up
covered.
to you young chickens anymore.
oh,
Yeah,
come on, Jeff. You're young. Oh, he didn't even let me get my sentence out.
yeah. He's lucky because he leases all of his vehicles, so his warranty is good for as long as he has his lease. And he's like, it don't matter. He goes, I can fix everything that's wrong on them. He said,
Yeah,
but why should I? He said, if it breaks down alongside the road, he said, I call a tow truck. My insurance pays for that. Take it in there, and my warranty covers anything besides tires. So,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. I mean, that was the catch, though. It said I was looking at that there, unlimited powertrain warranty, limit. I mean, a lifetime powertrain warranty on that thing, and I said,
mm-hmm.
shoot, that ain't. I mean, that truck, that particular truck, I found it at a Nissan dealership, and it was $10,000 less than what the Chevrolet. It had less than 40. It had 40,000 miles on it, so
Mm-hmm.
I think I have. I think I got just turned 70,000 miles on it the other day. So I mean, so in other words, that's I ain't planning on ever buying no more financed vehicles. I mean,
Well, nowadays, even to buy a decent used vehicle, you're gonna have to finance it because there ain't nothing out there cheap anymore.
no, no, but that's what I want. I get that 91 back together. I'll get it painted and all that stuff. I mean, that that truck I wouldn't be scared of driving here to California. California probably want to lock me up because it's a 91 model and it don't meet their emissions. It don't meet
Yeah.
their emissions nowadays. So,
How about here to Nevada?
well, I might well go from here to Nevada now, but but when I got to that California border, I treated it like the Mexican border or somewhere like that. So
Yeah. I mean, I have no fear of driving my truck any place. It's just one, it costs me an arm and a leg in gas, and body panels might start falling off. You know, because
yeah,
I done rebuilt the whole freaking front end of that thing. The rear end's good, the transmission's good. You know, the engine still runs good. It just the rest of the body is falling away from it. So
well, that not my 91 down there. I know I bought that was the first new vehicle I ever bought, so I know every mile that was put on that truck. So it's and I knowed how what services I did to it and all that other stuff. So I think it's got 160 some thousand miles on it, but like I said, it's still like I wouldn't be scared to drive it out there, but
well, that's another reason I'm looking at the mini school buses with the Chevy pick van front ends.
yeah,
You know, one, I know those vans inside and out, that motor, powertrain, and everything because of work, and they're 1 ton, chassis, so I can tow anything I want, and I can convert it into like a mini camper, so I can travel any place I want. You know, but I still kick myself for not bidding on them ones I seen found down south there in Georgia at that auction. Ain't a single one of them brought more than $500, and they're running and driving. You know,
yeah,
but
yeah,
now they're not. I haven't seen any come back up for sale. On the auction like that again. So
yeah. You used to find school bus auctions all the time, but
oh the
they ain't replacing them as often as they used to either. So
the full size school buses, they're there all the time. But
yeah,
the short buses, the small van front buses,
yeah.
they don't have them very often. I did find some out west, way out west, but they were going for $3,000 to $5,000. You know, so
I think a few weeks ago I was looking and they had some at a equipment auction, but I don't think it was it was from the schools or whatever that was selling them. I think somebody had bought them and was taking them back in equipment auction and stuff. So
well, they
that's
might,
why I
might
didn't say nothing to you. But
they
you
might have
know,
been
they
they
probably
might have been
feel.
they
Oh,
might
I
have been
was
used they might have been used as those crew buses for the oil fields and stuff.
yeah, and I mean down in South Carolina, there was a big peach farm up there, and told Lisa when she first started going took her down there. I said, she said something about going to Walmart on Saturday afternoon. I said, baby, you ain't know what I said. They ain't no use in going to Walmart on Saturday afternoon because all those migrant workers, those peach farmers, that's their day. That's the day they got off, and that's the day they'll load up
Yep.
three school buses of them. She said, "You're lying." I said, "No, I'm not." I said, "As a matter of fact, since you saying I'm lying, I'm gonna take you down there on Saturday since you want to go." We went down there, and no sooner than we pulled up, here comes three of them daggone migrant school buses in there, and they, these were the full size school buses, and people just piled off and piled off. I mean, I guarantee you there's 50 people living on that bus, but I guarantee you there's probably 70 on that bus, and and they they'd pool all their money together to buy groceries for the next week, and so that's the way they worked, and she said I will never I don't want to ever you can go to anywhere on Saturday down here anymore because you can't get in and out the doggone out of Walmart. I said, well, I tried to tell you that you don't want to go to Walmart.
Yep. Uh, that's why our WalMarts aren't open 24 hours no more.
I wasn't either.
They open at 6 here, and usually Saturday or Sunday morning at 6 a.m. I am there when they unlock the doors,
Yeah.
and
Well,
I go in
we
and get my stuff and get out. I was in and out in 20 minutes this morning.
yeah, and that's kind of the what go. That's about the only time I want to go into Walmart or eat it ourselves. So I mean, I actually we do a grocery pickup. We done one of them today. You know, I mean, if you got to go in and self checkout and all this BS that Walmart's done, I mean, but you can go around on the other side over there, and they will go out and they go around on the shelves and pull everything that you want,
Mm-hmm.
and then they bag it up and everything else. I mean, why go in the store anymore when it don't cost you nothing for the pickup? I mean,
Hey, I was in there this morning. Usually they have at least one cash register open.
yeah,
They didn't have any open today. I walked back and forth a couple of times just to double check to make sure there was, not one there. And I made the one associate lady that usually works the self checkout.
yeah,
I made her run everything. I
yeah,
said, I said I've never done this before, and I don't plan on doing. I said, if there ain't nobody here to check me out, I said I'm gonna leave this shit sit right here and leave. Oh, I'll help you, sir. I'm like, good, you help me.
yeah.
Earn
I
your
mean,
earn your money instead of just standing there with your thumb up your butt.
yeah. I mean that's why we do the self pickup. I mean,
Yeah.
if you buy X amount of dollars worth of stuff, I mean, I think about every time we go to friggin' Walmart, it's gonna cost me $100 anyway. So I just go back. I go to uh, go there. If I do go in the store, I go out through the automotive section and they can't check me out back there. So or either that or the garden section,
Yeah.
and that way that I got somebody to bag and at least. But I mean, it ain't my damn job to go bag up my own groceries.
Yep.
I mean this, but that's self checkout and all that stuff. I mean, and these doggone fast food joints now are kind of getting the same way. They all pushing for you to get the app on your phone to get so you can order it before you get there, and they already some of them's already putting robots in to do the cooking and everything in the back.
Let's see. I do like the McDonald's app because the drive through at my McDonald's in the afternoons and evenings and stuff like that is slammed packed. I can I can
Yeah,
I can literally pull over into a parking spot, order my food, pull around the building into a parking spot, and get my food before that line comes through faster by ordering it on the app, and it doesn't cost me anything. But I also get free perks after so many points. I can get free stuff, so
yeah,
why not?
yeah. You might as well. I mean,
If the if I pull in and the line's not long, I'll go through the drive-through. But if I pull up and that line's back along around the building, I pull over into the parking spot for a second, bring the app up, and I usually get about the same thing every time I go through.
yeah,
Just hit the reorder and send it. Pay for it. My debit card right there. Pull around the building, pull into a parking spot, hit the number, and like I said, just a minute or so, it's out there, and I'm on my way.
yeah. I mean, I'm still so used to when I go to is having to walk up to the or whatever because because I driving trucks so dang years you know but ever since 9/11, I mean since this that there 19 popped
Yep.
up,
Yep.
uh I mean I would just like to have a good go sit down in even one of those fast food joints. But usually now we got a dog in the truck, so we don't we don't go. We don't go. Even go. We got to go through the drive-through, and so in other words, after 20 years of eating off the steering wheel in a semi truck, now I got to eat off the steering wheel in a GMC pickup. I mean, so it's just
Well, I was the same way when I worked over the road. You know, uh,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. I mean, it's just sitting there and having to eat off a steering wheel.
yep.
And
that's why I fell in love with Wendy's whenever I was doing the over the road, because that little Isuzu box truck would fit through their drive through, and
uh-huh.
I wouldn't even have to get out of the truck. We could. Well, the first one of the first times I went through with a new helper, he's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? You're going." I'm like, "No, trust me, dude. This is why I like Wendy's. They don't have an overhang. We can get this truck through." Whipped right through, paid, got the stuff. He's like, "I didn't know that." He goes, "Can we do McDonald's?" I'm like, "Nope, can't do McDonald's, can't do Burger King, can't do any of them because they got a nine or a 10 foot overhang. Wendy's don't." So I said,
and
we can get through her."
you can't do Hardee's because they got the Hardee's here has got a curb on both sides,
Mm-hmm.
and I barely can get that pickup truck around it. Without curbing one of my tires.
Yep.
So in other words, you couldn't get a box truck around it.
Now
So
they're down on the other side of Columbus, between Columbus and Dayton. There used to be a big truck stop down there that had McDonald's, and
yeah,
they actually had a truck drive through line. You could take your semi through it.
well,
You
dang,
could,
I,
you,
I
you pull out in the back lot. They have a big like uh, RV and
yeah,
parking area. You loop around that. You come back down, and it's a straight. The mic's up high and everything. You pull in, and then when you come through the line, you kind of get over, and they've got a window that's sits out kind of higher, and there's no overhang on that whole side of the building, and you just kind of get over, and you can pay, and then pick your, before they had the two window deal.
yeah,
You can pull right over, and there's a person up there with your food, and they hand it right out to you.
cool deal. Yeah, Tommy. We Tommy around here nowadays. Ever since that COVID that 19, they when they closed shut down all the fast food joints and everything else around here. I mean, you they got to the point where the kids nowadays, the kids are so daggone spoiled that they won't get off their butts. They, I
Well,
mean, they expect $20 an hour to flip burgers. I mean they actually was offering $15 an hour, and they still can't get but one or two people in the doggone place. I mean the 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 drive through window is you got uh the drive through windows. The woman running it, she's on half of the places. They only taking one car at the doggone time. It takes forever to get through them anymore. I mean, because the young people don't want will not work. I mean,
well,
and
one of the guys I work with, his son is actually going to school uh, up where we work at,
yeah,
and I asked him, so how come your son's not working here? He said because he said he went up to the Get Go gas station where they have the food court and stuff.
yeah,
18. It's part time, but it's $18 an hour. Is what he's making. He's making almost as much part time as he would full time for us.
wow,
Yeah. So he's
that's
like, yeah, it's a lot
that's
easier work. So
yeah, and that's crazy, but it's not. I mean, it's I mean that's why it costs you $10 just get one of the meals. Off the fast food joint. And you pull up there and for a burger and fries and a drink is over $10 on a lot of them daggum things. So
well, that's a discussion I just had with a friend of mine here about 2 weeks ago. Um, he was all for the $15 an hour, minimum wage, blah 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 blah, all this kind of stuff. I said, it's not going to change the people. Somebody's life, giving them $15 an hour, bumping the minimum wage up because everything else will go up. The cost of living will go up. Oh, yeah. Look now. A meal at McDonald's used to be able to buy for like $8 or $9 is now 12 or 13, and they're your employees are making more money, but they can't afford to eat there
But
because
you can't afford to eat there. That's because it's all
right,
the same. It's, I
right,
mean, now and then they fuss because their rent went up, their and everything else. Well, guess what? I
yeah,
mean, the people that work that does the maintenance on them places, they had to go up with the price of the labor. I mean,
mm-hmm.
so in other words, your rent might have just been $500 or $600 a month. Now it's got to be now it's $1,000 a month,
Yep,
and well,
yep,
even even out here at Volvo, which is the plant's union out here, and you and they actually used to be somebody had to die off the assembly line or something other to get a job get your foot in the door.
mm-hmm.
Okay, but now they got it advertised all the time, needing help, and I mean, yeah, they got to be they selective on some on what they who they still hire, but you know there's but they sitting there begging people to work, but the union contract that the union contracts they they actually had made them go down because the profits wasn't there anymore.
Yep.
I mean, but I mean, they just had a strike a year ago, and I think they finally settled on like $20 an hour starting, and but you move your way up pretty fast, on the scale.
Well,
But
ever since the pandemic, and then they made the hourly rate change.
yeah,
The McDonald's that I go to, that you looked into the window, and there was 8 high school kids working in there.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's what they bitched about. Oh, we got to have more money. We got to have more money.
exactly.
You go through that same place right now, and there might be 1 or 2 high school kids working, and the rest of them are 20s and up.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. I mean,
and in the morning when I stop and get breakfast, it's all people probably 35 and up working in there. And I asked the one younger girl, she's probably in her mid to late 20s. I said, "What happened to all the high school kids?" She goes, "We can't get them to open up." He said, and then the during the day or after school, he said, she said, "No." She goes, "They don't want to work." I said,
well,
"What the hell?" I said, she goes, "Oh, they can make more money if they go to like one of the other you know chain not chain restaurants, but the other stores and stuff like that.
yeah,
Department stores and stuff like that, and work, and they don't have to do as much." I said, "But they were the ones that were the bitching to get the pay raise to McDonald's workers and stuff." She said, "Yep, I know." She goes, "And now we're understaffed, and they won't let the part time employees go full time because of the benefits because
yeah,
they're not making as much profit."
yeah. I mean, and it's ridiculous. I mean, some of the things just has doubled and tripled in price. I mean, some of I mean, the guy down the road here that he fixes them antique cars and stuff, and all. He said the other day he called he had to call 3 different parts houses, and and just for a uh gallon of fiberglass bondo type stuff, fiberglass stuff with the strands in it. Well, he said he said that stuff has he could he one place wanted $150 a can for it. He said he finally found it for $100 a can. That stuff used you could buy it all day long for $25 back before all this BS started, and I mean, he said he had he paid 200 and some dollars for a quart of burgundy paint the other day.
Mm-hmm.
200 and some dollars.
Yep.
I said, my God Almighty! I mean, I said, what in the world is it going to cost me to buy the paint for that doggone red truck out there? I mean, because red, red's one of the most expensive colors. He said, I really don't. I really couldn't tell you right now. So, I mean,
Well, here last fall, body shop that we use through work. He's a good friend. He's a friend of mine. I've known him
yeah,
for 20 plus years. Uh, I went and talked to him. I said, you know, now I said I don't want you to do it. I want you to show me how. In your shop. I said I'll come up after work and stuff. I said I want to strip the paint down off my hood, side covers, and the rear fenders of my tractor. I said I'll do the prep work and stuff like that. You just show me how to do it. I said, and then you paint it. I said, what do you think I would have in doing that? He said, honestly, he said, for the paint job, for the paint work itself, he said, even if I didn't charge you to use my tools and my stuff, my materials, just the paint and me painting it would be about $700.
well, I bought a a gallon of primer the other day. The primer, well, it's been probably a couple months now, but a gallon of primer and the reducer that goes in this new type primer,
Mm-hmm.
and I paid $150 for primer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I mean, I mean, and people, and then people, like my friend said down here, he said they bring the car up here, they want it painted all over, but they bitch if you want if you say it's gonna tell them that you tell them that it's gonna cost them $1,000. He said they pitch a bitch fit about it,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, but when you talking about materials and everything else, he's just coming out basically with minimum wage now.
Yep.
I mean at
Yep.
$1,000 by doing all having to do all the work and everything else, it is flat out ridiculous.
Yeah. The colors I wanted was I wanted it was red, like a red base coat.
Yeah,
But then the clear on top, I shoot a coat of clear, two coats of metallic, with gold, like a gold and silver metallic,
yeah,
two coats of that, and then three more coats of clear on top of that. And the last coat of clear have like a smoke in it, so it kind of like
yeah,
like a smoky. And he said that's what the clear coats and the metallics is what's most expensive.
yeah,
He said I've probably got the reds you want here in stock. He said,
yeah.
but he said I don't stock a lot of the metallics because they're so expensive.
Well, I mean, there's a little. He pulled out this my friend of mine. He pulled out a daggum little bag of gold flake. But I think he said about 3 ounces, and he said that there's a down over $100 damn dollars now.
Mm-hmm.
I said, dang. I said, I mean, he put some of the gold and silver flake in that last Barracuda he built because he wanted that car. He wasn't trying to match it, to build it back original.
All right.
He's got a Barracuda sitting down there now. That's the 70 model. That's fully original. But he was building this car for his road, so he could go back and forth to Daytona Beach. I mean, he loves going to Daytona Beach.
Yeah.
So he fixed that car up. I mean, he kind of mixed up his own purple. He was a purple color that he wanted it, and then he put some flake, gold and silver flake in it in the clear, and I can only imagine what that paint cost. But he said, and the sad part about it, Ed was over he met this a woman. I mean, he's 75 years old. He met this woman. His wife died over a year ago, so he finally met another woman. He went over there and he spent weeks over there at her house fixing up junk around her house and all this stuff. And one day he said she just lost her damn mind. All
Mm.
he spent all that money having her fix up her house and all that. And he said she just went to raising holy. What she wanted to do was she wanted to sell that house of hers and move in with him. He said, "You're not moving in with me,"
Mm.
and you know, because I mean, and so I mean, he said I like it down here by myself. So I mean, I don't. I'm not. You're not moving in here. And she went down and keyed the whole damn side of that car. I mean, and he had just got finished with it.
Oh.
I mean, you could just hear the tears in his eyes, tears in his voice when I was talking, and he ended up since he mixed his own paint, he didn't, he wasn't planning on having to paint it again. So he just mixed a little bit of this, and a little bit of that, and made the color that he wanted. And when he got to, so he didn't have there was no way in the world that he could have matched it after she keyed down the side of it and all that stuff. So here he had to paint that whole car over again, which now it is a lot prettier color now than what it was when he first. I wouldn't say nothing, but this color is a lot prettier than what it first was, and all that stuff. So, but it um, but like I said, it just. I mean, you could almost hear the tears in his eyes because
Well,
in his voice because she keyed down the side of his car and everything else. Plus, he spent probably at least $5,000 or $6,000 over there at her house trying to get it ready to sell. He thought she was just gonna move in. She was gonna move into the apartment so she didn't have to cut the grass and clean and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden she said, "I ain't living in a damn apartment." And I said, "Well, if you're on limited income, the only place that you're gonna get is low income and all this. The only place you're gonna get is an apartment. If
mhm.
and then you're gonna have to be on a waiting list." I said, "If the house is paid for, I mean, why are you even talking about selling the house?
Yep.
Especially if you don't want to live in an apartment." And she got mad as hell at me, and she didn't want to talk to me anymore. You know, but Matt, we're good friends, so he wasn't going to let her stop our friendship or anything. But
Right.
I mean, but that's
Couple years ago, a French friend of mine. I knew her from high school and after high school, and um, everything. Uh, we don't really hang out or anything. Well, she was getting thrown out of her apartment because the landlord was selling the house, and the new people that were buying it didn't. They weren't going to rent it. They wanted to remodel the whole thing and then re-rent it. And she was pressuring me to let her move in here. And I said, absolutely not. Well, you got the extra room and everything. She goes, I'll put all my stuff in storage. I'm like, absolutely not. Well, she ended up talking another one of our friends into letting her move in there. She's like, oh, it'll only be just a couple months, maybe 6 at the most, and I'll get it, I'll get another place. She's still there.
yeah.
He can't get rid of her.
No, and that's what I told we told him. I said nowadays if you rent out a doggone place, it's a 6 month ordeal. Well, especially around that the time it was a 6 month ordeal to evicting somebody, and so in other words, what kind of damage can she do in 6 months at his house?
Well, and that's and the other thing is too is she's on disability.
Yep.
She gets $1,800 a month in disability. Plus, she works under the table as a cook, 40 hours a week. Okay, and gets paid really good money to do that. But she's always telling him that oh, I'm broke. I ain't got this. I need to get my vehicle fixed. And she tried that. She's tried that shit with me a bunch of times. And finally, the last time when she needed something fixed, she messaged me on Facebook and said, "Oh, I hate to ask, but I really need to have this fixed on my truck. And would there be any way you could do it?" I said, "Absolutely." I said, "I can do it for you." "Oh, really? That would be so awesome of you." I said, let me get a price for the parts. She's like, "Okay, no problem, no problem." So got a price for the parts. It was like rear brakes and brake pads, calipers, rotors, and something else. Got the price for it, and not even my discounted price. I got the middle of the road stuff.
Yeah.
Got the price for her, and I figured it would take me a minimum of 3 hours to do it. And I said, "This is what your brakes and everything will cost, and this is what my labor will cost." And she's like, "Okay, yeah, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Can we get it in this weekend?" And I'm like, I said, "I will get the parts ordered just as soon as you put a check in my hand or put cash in my hand." Well,
Mm-hmm.
what do you mean? I'm like, I said, "As soon as you," I said, "I can't afford to pay for the parts to put on your vehicle, front that." Well, don't you have an account? I'm like, "Well, yeah." I said, "But I've got other stuff on my account. My account's up to almost $500 right now." I said,
Yeah.
"I can't put another $400 or $500 on there." You know, well, I'll pay for my parts. I said, "You pay me for the parts and my labor ahead of time, and
Yeah.
we'll do it." "Well, you want me to pay for the whole thing ahead before you do the work?" I'm like, "Mm-hmm." I said, "Because guess what?" I said, "I know other people." I told her right then. I said, "I know other people that have done work for you, and you've paid for the parts, and they still haven't got paid for their labor.
Yeah.
You try to well, I'll do this for you. Well, I'll bake you some cakes, and I'll do cakes. Don't
Yeah.
pay my bill.
No.
You know,
I mean, I'd rather know right up. I'd rather tell them right up front if I'm gonna do the job out there. I mean, let me. I mean, I'm subject to do riding and stuff. I mean, we had a woman pull up here one day, and she was in a wheelchair, and we were selling. She was buying little piece of furniture. I think it was $50, and and when she went, I looked at her. She had one of them wheelchair lifts and all that in the van, and so I said, "You look like you got something hanging underneath your car, your van there." So I said, Is it okay if I pop the hood on it and see what it is?" And sure enough, the daggum fan belt had broke on it and was hanging underneath the truck, the little van. And so hey, Miss Peaches, how are you doing?
Miss Peace.
We Anyway, I went. Hey, Timmy, how are you
Timmy.
doing? Uh, thank you, thank you, Chasing Tail, for getting some of your folks over here. Thank you, and thank you for coming there, Timmy. Uh, but she had, I I knew when I went to the day. I said, look, I said she had called AAA while she was sitting there. I said, let me. I said, AAA said it was going to be about 6 or 7 hours. I wanted them people out my damn yard, to be honest with you. And so, I mean, I looked at her and I told her, I said, it's going to be uh, a few, it's going to be I said, I called down to the parts house and I got the price of the belt and all that stuff. And I looked and I made sure that it didn't have some kind of funky setup on it where I might
Mm-hmm.
not have the right tools to do it with. But I I went to I said I told her I said here's what the belt's gonna cost, and so you know she she give me the money for the belt, and I knew I wasn't gonna get paid for labor, so she said, "Well, how much you gonna charge me? Because I mean, AAA give you out here, and they won't when AAA gets out here, you know, I gotta wait, you know, that I won't that that's what falls under their plan or something or another, or either that or the insurance company, some way or another." And I said, "Well, I said, just uh, I went ahead and stuck that belt on there because I did because I mean it took me 30 minutes to do, but you know, I said I said you know I looked at Lisa and she said how much she had asked Lisa how much was I going to charge her to put the belt on, and when Lisa when I got back with the belt, I'd run to town and got the belt, and so we was I said she said how much you gonna it's gonna cost to put that belt on. I said we'll discuss that in a minute in a few minutes. You know when I got because I you know it was hot outside. The motor on that car was hot and everything else, and so I went and I popped the belt. You know I loosened up what adjustments it had to it. Stuck that belt on there and it and she said, "Well, how much?" It took me about 30 minutes altogether, you know, plus going to town. But I handed her the I handed her. She said how much I owe you. Uh, I said just have a nice day. And she said I can't do that. Well, I said no, just have a nice day. Like she's in a damn motorized wheelchair, so you know she did what she. I mean, you know, daggone well she didn't have much. So I mean, if I'm gonna do charity work, just let me know up front, and I'll still most likely I'll still do it. But just I mean, it's still. I mean, she called AAA had called whoever she was had coming out to check to get the van, and I said they liable to come out here. They don't have any damn tools. You know how they are. They don't
Mm-hmm.
have the right tools. They won't bring the right belt with them. They won't have something. So in other words, it might be 6 hours before they get out here, but it'll be 8 hours, 8 or 9 hours before they get you going. I
Right.
said I said before they even get out here, I'll have that thing fixed. And
Well,
so I mean, and then another day, the mail woman, I pulled out, was standing out in front yard, and when the mail lady left the mailbox up the road, next stop right next to us, I seen I, s- I seen it when she run over something right in the pathway, and when she got to my mailbox, her tire was flat. She got out of the doggone truck and started uh, fussing. She said, I ain't even got a jack in this truck. That's in my. She was driving one of those Jeeps. You know, it wasn't a mail carrier Jeeps, but it was her Jeep.
right.
And she said, I ain't even got a jack in this thing. I said, well, back it up down here at the shop, and I'll see what it's gonna take. You know, I'll see if I got what it takes. I mean, I changed the tire and all right there, you know, because I had once you got it back up to my shop, I just turned the air compressor on and I zipped the tire off, zipped the spare on, and I said,
Mm-hmm.
she said, well, how much I owe you for doing this? I said, just if you see somebody else that needs help, just pass it along.
Yep.
And so, I mean, so that's what our big thing, you know. But I mean, I'd rather, and like they said, I'd rather give you the shirt off my back than for you to steal it off my back. I
Well,
mean,
that same woman that I was talking about, the first time she got me, she needed her tailgate fixed in her truck. She had one of the Chevy Avalanches,
yeah,
and she couldn't get her tailgate down. What was the plastic clips on the gate, that hold the rods?
yeah,
They just broke. Because I looked at it, so I got the clips. I said, "Yeah." I said, "Come by." I said, "I got something going on right after work, so about 5 o'clock, meet me back. Meet me at the shop." I said, "It'll take me half an hour." "Oh, no problem, no problem. I'll be there. Thank you very much." So I went in, went and did what I had to do. Come back, slapped them things on and everything. She's like, "Oh, what do I owe you?" I'm like, "You don't owe me anything. Just here, the clips were a couple bucks, no problem." She walks around to the front of her vehicle and comes back with like a styrofoam deal. She says, "Well, here." She goes, "I brought this home from work," and she goes, "I figured you like sausage gravy and biscuits." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, no problem." I opened it up. It looked, and this is 5 o'clock at night. This shit looked like it was made at 5 o'clock in the morning.
oh God,
So I'm like, "Oh, thanks, no problem. Yeah, be on your way, And so she left, and I walked right over the trash can and dropped that shit right in the trash can. I'm like, ain't no way I'm eating that, you know,
yeah,
because it probably sat on her fucking, sat in the kitchen since the morning, and then sat in her truck all day long, you know, while she was waiting to come back up to my shop to have it fixed. So, you know, but yeah, she's gotten a couple other people pretty good, for other repairs on her vehicle that she says she can't afford, to pay labor and all this kind of stuff. And um, I had one of the guys at one of the grounds guys at work. He always plays the "woe's me" card.
yeah,
Oh, woe's me, oh, woe's me. He asked me one time to look at his car and possibly do something with it. I looked right at him. I said, "You can't afford me." What do you mean? I said, for one, I said, you can't afford the parts to fix that thing. You've already said that. I said, and two, I said, you can't afford my labor. You would charge me labor? I'm like, yeah,
well,
I would charge you labor.
well,
Well,
just
well,
you point,
that's not how friends do things. I'm like, that's how my friends do things.
well, just point over to that toolbox sitting over there and say, I got $5,000 to $10,000 worth of tools sitting right there. It's got to be paid for some damn way or another. I mean, you
I said,
can't.
I can't say that because they're all company owned
Yeah,
tools.
yeah,
I
but
said,
I
but
mean,
but but what's up here?
yeah,
I've paid a lot to get that knowledge.
yeah,
And he knows as well as everybody else around there. Anytime off work hours, you can use the lift as long as I don't have something on there. So if you need to use the lift to do a brake job, oil change, whatever, as long as it's not during work hours and it's off there, you can use it from Friday night to Monday morning. As long as your vehicle's off there Monday morning,
mm-hmm,
you can use it all weekend long. And you can actually use the tools up there too. You know,
yeah,
I'll give you the keys to the toolbox. And if you don't have the knowledge to do it, then you don't have the knowledge to do it. You know,
no,
I had one guy Tuesday morning. I've worked with him for almost 20 years now. Actually, it's 16 years because he's getting ready to retire. And he asked me Tuesday morning, "Hey man, can you throw the scan tool on my car? I got to check engine light." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, we can do it right after work. Just pull it right down in the garage right at 3:30. I'll throw the scan tool on it. No big deal." So 3:30 rolls around. I'm sitting in my office right there off the shop. I'm like looking. I don't hear anything. I wait about 15 minutes. I'm like, "What the hell?" Walk out. His car's not out there, not in the parking lot. Next morning, he's like, "Oh man, I totally forgot about staying over. Can we do it tonight?"
not
Nope.
no more. I mean, but
Nope.
I, I mean, it is just 10 o'clock. I know that's well past your bedtime, but
Yeah. Yeah.
so, so I'm gonna shut it down right here, and I appreciate everybody coming in, and everything, and I'm gonna try to start doing it on Sunday nights. It's doing the Sunday night deal after Ed's stream and all that stuff. So instead of the Friday nights, just look for me at 8:30. I mean, and Ed's is always on Sunday nights at 7. So, but like I said, I appreciate all of you coming in. Hope everybody has a great week and great weekend for what's what a little bit's left now. But it's but anyway, y'all have a good night, and we will see you next week. And
See,
Ed, I appreciate you being staying here, and hanging out with me for as long as you did. I mean,
I'm on vacation, so
uh,
I can sleep in an extra hour in the morning.
okay. Well, like I said, I mean, I I don't want to have to get used to, there's going to be week, when you back to work and all that stuff that you did. That
Yeah.
I have, I need, I'm not